All right, so I'm going to call to order this regular meeting of the Wellington Board of Selectmen. Today is October 5th, 2020, and it's 6:30 p.m. The first item on the agenda is call to order, and moving forward to approval of minutes. We have two sets of minutes, the first being September 21st, and then September 22nd. So I would make a motion to accept the minutes of September 21st with the following correction. On page 4, the second refund to Wayne or Kate Mora should read $18.30.
Second.
All right, motion seconded by Liza. Any discussion? No? Okay. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. The next was our special meeting on September 22nd. Make a motion to approve the minutes of September 22nd.
I'll second that.
Seconded by John. Any discussion? Take your time. These are lengthy.
Lengthy. I was going to say these lengthy minutes took me hours to go through.
Hours. Took me hours to type them.
Yes.
That part may not be true. I mean, may be true. All right. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries again unanimously. All right. Present to speak. If there is anyone on the call who would like to speak, we ask that you limit yourself to 2 minutes and identify yourself for the record. I sent you all a message, so you should be able to unmute if you would like to speak. If not, you can just say no and ignore that little box. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Okay. Sorry, had to get the hang of it.
Yes.
Peter Latenchich, 97 Trask Road. Good evening. I wanted to join the meeting tonight because, as Erica knows, I fairly regularly attend the Board of Finance meetings, and at the meeting prior to the last one, the superintendent of schools shared with us that he'd be unable to administer the roof projects that have been approved for quite some time for both schools, understandably because of his heavy commitments with COVID and opening the schools this year. So what I'd like to see and respectfully request is some discussion on that under your public works agenda item 6 if possible, but more importantly, adding it to your next agenda meeting for the next selectmen's meeting to proceed with the appointment of a school roof building committee, which could direct the project, obtain the necessary resources that aren't available right now from the school administration, and hopefully complete the project this summer when the school is vacant. Unfortunately, it didn't happen this past summer, but hopefully we'll have another dry summer like this one, and that could be accomplished. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else present to speak? If so, you should be able to unmute yourself. All right. There will be an opportunity at the end of the meeting to speak if you so choose. Correspondence, we do not have anything for correspondence this meeting. There are some new things that have come in today that would go onto that list, but they have not been logged as of yet. So I will tell you that most of the other correspondence isn't something we keep in there. We have lots of applications for our open positions and bills going forward. So there's still things coming in here, just not what would be logged into correspondence, so to speak. That brings me to first Selectman's report. So I'll talk about our fuel tank, which we've been talking about for some time now. I'm happy to say it is complete and operational. So if I had thought ahead to take the pictures that Troy has sent to me, and I was able to take some off my phone and put them on the screen, I'd share the screen and show you all. But it is, it's a sight to behold over at Public Works Garage. So when you're headed up to the transfer station, take a look. The lighting is clear and bright, and it's a beautiful new tank. We did not get, Troy I believe he's just gotten the report that came back from the tank that was removed. And thus far we have had no negative impact from that 30-year-old tank. So that's really good news for us, which means no environmental cleanup at this point. So we can check that one off the box and move on to future projects.
Eric,
Yes, John?
were you done with the,
Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to comment on what Mr. Latinzix just said, which, yes, this is the first time I've ever seen the town have money appropriated to accomplish a project and not have taken steps to accomplish the project. And I wondered if we could put this on the agenda for the next meeting and discuss this.
I think we can, and I hear the concern, and then we'll talk to it, and hopefully the superintendent can share with us. I know the timing of it was, you know, he is the individual there. We don't have a facilities director that would take over this project. And so things with COVID certainly made it challenging, first with offices at the state not being open and available to handle what needed to be done, and then just not, Phil wears multiple hats and just not having the opportunity. So yeah, I think at our next meeting, we can take up this topic and see what we can do to move forward. If it's going to add additional funding to the project and won't allow us to do with the funds that we have currently in place, that would take, you know, an additional conversation and what would be needed to have those funds allocated. So we'll take a look at that. I'll make sure I add it to our agenda. Our next meeting should be Monday, the 19th of October. Okay. Going on to the next item on status update, status report. I sound like a broken record, but I'm going to continue to mention that the 2020 presidential election will be held on Tuesday, November 3rd, and our polling location has been changed by the registrars. A postcard went out today. I think I showed everyone this postcard at our last meeting. I'll show it again. A postcard today went out to let every registered voter household know of the polling change. So there's information on the back and a postcard on the front to make sure all of our registered voters know where to go on election day. So again, to allow for better social distancing and to accommodate for that, our polling place for this coming November 3rd election will be Hall School Gymnasium. And for those who are curious, students at Hall School that day will all be remote learning. So it won't be a canceled day for them. They'll just go into their remote mode and still be able to have school. I see Liza smiling because she may or may not have a student there who will be thrilled to know school will not be canceled, but move to remote so that we can allow for all those visitors in the school. The assistant assessor position is now vacant as of today. You recall Rachel Pierce, our previous assistant assessor, is our new assistant town clerk, and she began in that office today. She is, she's working in the town clerk's office 4 days a week. So on that 5th day, she is going to help out in the assessor's office. We have a part-time assessor who's here Monday evenings and then on Fridays. So this will allow a little bit more continuity in that office. So Rachel's going to help until such time as we hire a new assistant assessor, and the posting for that will close next Wednesday, the 15th. We're getting pretty good at this, folks. The admin assistant position, the hiring committee helped, oh, sorry. Lights went out, don't move enough. The hiring committee held interviews. We had several wonderful candidates, and we offered the position to Heather Sharpley, who is a resident of Willington, who accepted the position. So Ms. Sharpley will begin work next Tuesday, October 13th. Monday is a holiday. So the committee unanimously agreed that Ms. Sharpley was the right person for this position. And we're all excited to have her join our staff. I look forward to working with her. So, and to that avail, I need to make sure I thank Robin, who since September 1st and going to the town clerk's office has been doing some double duty and helping out to keep things running on this end of the building. And on her days not in the tax office, our assistant tax collector, Michelle Sear, has been working to answer phones and help with communications in the selectman's office. She's currently one of these callers you see on here and been helping with our minutes. So I want to thank them both for stepping in and helping out as we get back to a full staff, hopefully very soon. The Emergency Communications Task Force, I don't have anything new except that to report, except that our next meeting is this Wednesday, the 17th. I'm sorry, it's Wednesday the 7th at 6:30. And so an agenda was just filed tonight, so that should be going out soon. And at our next meeting, I'll have an update for you on what we talked about at that meeting. Updating the budget. I'll give you an update on our budget, specifically tax collection on last Thursday, October 1st. You recall was the deferred extension. So where folks could pay their taxes without penalty up to 11/59 on October 1st. We are still collecting some payments if they were postmarked by October 1st. So we'll start to see some of those trickle in for a couple of days. Janice ran some numbers for me today, and the grand list, we billed $13,304,435. And to date, we've received $7,464,469 through the end of September. And that's a 56% collection rate. Just for comparison's sake, through the end of September last year, we had a 59% collection rate. So we're pretty close to where we would normally be. And of that collection rate last year, that included $8,039 in interest and fees. Those are things we wouldn't have seen through September this year because there was no interest after August 1st. And going forward, anyone who came in to pay their taxes now will see a 6% interest on their bill. If you didn't pay by October 1st, it reverts back to the July 1 due date, adds all the interest for those months, and then 1.5% going forward. So I know we were concerned when we first had to make decisions about deferment and how to handle that. And so right now, our residents to this point seems as though they've had an ability to pay, and we seem to be right on target. So hopefully that's a good sign of things, at least for our community. There's still folks hurting because of COVID, businesses that are taking a hit and hurting. But for this first half and collection and being able to do business, we seem to be okay. There's not a lot of time for folks between this payment and then in the next installment. So we're still kind of in a holding pattern, and I still have in place with very few exception, only essential business budget-wise. Otherwise, things are in a freeze. So I'm using a lot of scrap paper for notes instead of buying new notepads, if that gives you any indication. STEEP grant. We had applied for a STEEP grant, and I told you we had hoped to hear about it in September. Then we hope to hear about it October 1st. I got notification on Friday that OPM is still reviewing the applications and hope to award on or about October 15th. So once again, I'll say to you, hopefully the next time we meet, we'll hear if we were awarded that STEEP grant. And the total amount, the maximum amount was $128,205. And they did say they had 90 plus, so not too many, not even one for each town, so not even a total 169 awards, so fingers crossed. Public Works. Amongst the things they've been doing, regularly picking up the trash at the park, roadside mowing still going on while we can, what's still growing and left to mow as we are in extreme drought. They swept up the chip sealed roads. So for those of you who are on a chip sealed road, most of it is gone now, just little remnants. They paved around the fuel tank and it's up and running, like I said. So we did the paving portion ourselves. Our guys did it and they did a really nice job up there. They installed the radar, a new radar sign, or one of ours relocated to in front of Center School. So if you visit the town office building, we're going to know how fast you're going on your way there. Jeff Hansen is working on getting our trucks ready for the winter. And he was also able to attend a welding school and is now a certified welder for us. So that's a plus for him and a bonus for us as a town. All right, new business. Hot items here. Just have 2 tax refunds under new business. So I will move to refund CCAP Auto Lease Ltd. a certificate of correction in the amount of $295.55.
I'll second.
Seconded by John. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Can you not unmute yourself?
I have that problem a lot. Aye.
Aye. Okay. Motion carries unanimously. Aye. I hope I said aye. All right. I will move to award Honda Lease Trust a certificate of correction in the amount of $456.75.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. Old business, COVID-19 update. So again, I like to give you numbers. They are cumulative to March. Does not mean all the numbers that I report to you are currently ill, folks. As of the numbers that were released this afternoon at 4 o'clock, Willington has had 24 COVID positive, and we have 1 probable case. So it's 1 pending. And so we haven't seen that much of an uptick since our last meeting, which is good news. So again, remind folks to wear their masks, social distance, and follow all those guidelines that are in place. I shared, we're sharing through our website and on our social media some new guidelines that have come out with the state for folks surrounding Halloween. I know there seems to have been lots of talk about that. The town is not in charge of Halloween, and we are not canceling Halloween. At this point, there's no reason for us to become involved in that. We are not hosting a specific event. We'd ask people to follow those guidelines. Take a look at the guidelines from the state and the guidelines from CDC and determine what is appropriate for you and your family and others. And keep in mind that what we do can impact those around us. So certainly be cognizant of that, certainly in neighborhoods where we would see more trick-or-treating. But the town has not canceled Halloween, nor is it an event that we put on. I know we all enjoy it, but we want to make sure we keep our residents safe. In-town meetings, an update. We talked about purchasing 2 licenses to Zoom. After doing some research and many conversations with our IT, it doesn't look like we really need to purchase them in the manner in which we thought. We have the ability to continue using the free Zoom account. The one I'm hosting on now and recording on is a free Zoom account. And we do not have time limits. We share this service with the school, so we're under that caveat where they've lifted those time restrictions. So we don't have a 40-minute time limit like we were worried about. I'd made a last-minute Zoom change last week, and so we don't need to do that. We are, however, limited to 100 participants. So I would say we could do one of 2 things, and I wanted to have that discussion with you all before we move forward. We can purchase a pro account, or we can utilize the services of CHA if we anticipated a meeting, whether it be a town meeting, if we can go in that virtual direction. or another meeting where we anticipated more than 100 folks, we could reach out in that capacity, and they would be able to monitor the chat, similar to what we did when we had the emergency services Board of Selectmen update after our incident in May. So what we'll do is I'm working on creating the accounts, then setting up procedures so that board and commission chairs will know what to do. So what will happen is they'll be using their town email. I'll use the Board of Finance as an example. The Board of Finance would use probably the chair's email, set up an account, and then share that login information with their recording secretary, who then could set up those Board of Finance meetings, and they would run them. So they would start the meetings, they would monitor the participants, and monitor, making sure folks were muted, unmuted when they need to be, and record the meetings, and then get them to us so we could put them on our YouTube page. So we talked about having 2 accounts. We'll now be able to have multiple accounts, which is to our benefit, without a cost. So I was happy to hear that. And we were able to save some funds in that direction. So the only difference in the account we were looking at still limited us, the purchased account still limits us to 100. So I shouldn't say, if we purchase the pro account, we're still limited to 100 people. The accounts we were looking at that were $199.90 a year, you have to purchase 10 of them. They started a group of 10 licenses. So we were looking at $2,000 a year. So it wasn't very clear to us. I looked at it as one thing. Nova saw something else. We got on the phone with the folks at Zoom, and you have to start at 10 licenses for those small business accounts. So I didn't think we wanted to spend $2,000 on Zoom. And then we found we were able to do it in this manner. So if we thought we really needed to host and there was going to be the possibility of having over 100 folks, then we would use CHA to be able to host for us. So, and I'll talk to you a little bit about town meetings. Last week at a CCM meeting, they shared with us that they are working on an executive order that hopefully will allow for a hybrid model of town meeting. So that's in person and virtual. Don't know the details of it. They have not released that yet. They had thought maybe at the end of the week, beginning of this week. So I'll keep you posted on what that looks like. That would give the ability for someone to attend in some sort of virtual method. I have lots of questions about that will look like, but I'll wait to see the details from the executive order and then share them with you when we have them. I will say that we had a town meeting last week at River Road for a LoSiP project. We had 23 residents in attendance, and it was outside. We borrowed a light from the fire department. We thought they had one. They actually borrowed it from a neighboring town. So thank you to Mansfield, who allowed us the use of their light tower so that we could have light outside. We set up chairs. I want to thank Troy at Public Works, who came out that evening and set up socially distant chairs for folks. It was an okay method of holding a town meeting. If we had a larger attendance, it was difficult. There's certainly some kinks to work out. Mr. Latinchik was there, and so he may agree with me. Going forward, if we were to do that method, we'd have to look at a better way for folks in the crowd to be able to speak so that everyone could hear them, and that would mean utilizing the microphone. I used the microphone, and then they spoke without, and that made it difficult for folks to hear. I can only speak for how far away I was from them. So whether we have another microphone or make sure that one gets cleaned in between usage so that it can be passed around. So there are a few kinks to work out, but we don't have another, knock on wood, town meeting planned soon. So we can work on that in the future. But it went off, I thought, fairly well. This was a short one. Really not much discussion, so it worked out okay. As we get a little bit farther along in the fall and into winter, it could get a little bit chilly out there. So we'll have to work on what to do. But I want to see those guidelines from the state or executive order for what a virtual hybrid would look like. That's all I have today for COVID update. Let me add one thing. I know Eastern Highlands is working towards planning for a vaccination when and if there is one, and looking at numbers of municipal employees, whether it be here at the TOB, our EMS, and our school, so they could start to determine how vaccines would be distributed for essential workers, and our staff does fall into that category. So keep you posted on how that goes. Right now, they're just collecting numbers for data purposes. Any COVID related questions? All right. So with that, I will say we had no other new or old business, and I will move on to present to speak. If you are, give me one moment while I work to monitor all these. I'm going to ask each of you to unmute. If you do not wish to unmute, just say no. And you should be able to unmute yourself if you would like to speak. Identify yourself for the record, and limit yourself to 2 minutes. And I need to move around. Blazer, was that Blazer saying he wanted to speak?
Yep.
All right. Seeing no one wanted to speak. Peter, are you trying to unmute yourself? Okay, you look like you were there. Let me try this again. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I did want to comment on the meeting, and I want to thank you, Erica, and the entire Board of Selectmen for making the meeting happen. It was just great to have a town meeting again. It was challenging for me to hear with the generator blaring. So I would welcome not having it. We had light from the building, I think. But anyway, a minor detail, I was very pleased to have the meeting. If it gets colder, and this is a question I have, I guess, if I can ask it during present to speak, could we have a town meeting in the hall gym? Is that in the hybrid model?
Was that your only comment?
Question, really.
Okay. So, normally I don't get into that, but I would say right now we don't have the use of the gym outside of the ability to use it for voting right now. Part of their plan is that the gym not be open to the public, and they're not using it for any other school function as well. So that's not an option currently. I won't say it wouldn't be down the road. They may or may not revisit that, but it isn't currently. So that's why I'm curious about what this executive order for a virtual and in-person hybrid would look like, and that may be able to answer our questions and how we could go about doing that so that folks could attend in another method. I have concerns that we need to be able to see them to know that the person actually voting is a resident and falls under the statutes to vote in a town meeting. So we'll be curious to see how that goes, but we're continuously exploring and having those conversations. But as of right now, the Hall School gym is not an option for us. But I won't rule it out because the school may make changes in their plan as we move forward. All right, so seeing no, anyone else present to speak? All right, I'm going to move on to good and welfare. Again, the polling place is the Hall School Gymnasium on November 3rd. No matter how anyone votes, it's important that they be able to come out and vote, and we let them know how they can vote. So this is a big change for us, and making sure that folks are able to come out and cast their vote from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. You can vote in person or absentee ballot. Because of COVID, that is a reason this year. So we did send out 643 absentee ballots on Friday. Applications are still coming in. Just as soon as Robin got all of those done and her office got all of those done, a whole new crop came in. So they're working tirelessly in the town clerk's office to get absentee ballots. applications processed, ballots sent out, and we anticipate those that were mailed out on Friday will start to come back in, and they will be processed as received, but votes are not open. Those absentee ballots, people have asked, are not opened until, I believe, Election Day. There may be some change in when they can start processing them through the registrar's office sooner, which would just mean taking them out of an outer envelope, but the actual ballot is not open or counted until Election Day. So they remain secure in the vault in the town clerk's possession between the date they were received and Election Day. And if anyone has any questions, they should reach out to the town clerk's office or the registrar of voters office, and both of their numbers, contact information is on the postcard that our residents will start to receive tomorrow. Once again, the tax penalty for anyone who didn't pay before October 1st, postmarked or otherwise, is a 6% interest added on to the bill that would be due today, and then 1.5% going forward. And I received from the state police our numbers for September. So for September, we had 596 total calls for service. That included 11 accidents, 10 criminal investigations, 2 burglaries, 0 larcenies, and 544 non-reportable matters, and a total of 10 arrests. For motor vehicle enforcement, they had a total of 26 traffic stops, 1 on-site DUI, 0 arrests, 1 misdemeanor summons, 13 infractions, 1 written warning, and 11 verbal warnings. And I want to remind our residents not to leave your personal belongings in your unlocked vehicle, and make sure they lock their vehicles. So while there are different ways we can prevent crime, one of them is to be cognizant of our surroundings, lock our vehicles, and don't leave your personal belongings in them as much as possible. Either of you, anything for good and welfare?
No.
All right. Seeing no other business on our agenda, I would move to adjourn at 7:02.
Second.
Seconded by Liza. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all so much. Enjoy your evening and stay safe and healthy.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Right.